number one, which is force. Gun to your head, you're going to do anything. And governments, mafias, they know that force, fear of physical force, fear of torture is by far the biggest motivator. It's what keeps people paying taxes. It's what keeps people following laws. I mean, a lot of the laws, most people, myself included, would follow them regardless of the government. But it stops a lot of people from doing a lot of things. And, this is how governments, mafias, things like that accumulate so much money because they're willing to use force. You could have a 12-year-old with a gun rob you on the street and you're going to give him your wallet, your credit card, everything possible. Number two, okay, is shame, which you might not realize, but shame is sort of what keeps a lot of people in school when they don't want to be in school. It keeps people together. They don't want to drop out. Everyone hated school, but you don't want to be a dropout. You don't want to drop out of university. You want to get a good job. It also keeps people doing a million other things for society, right? Like you don't run down the street naked. It would, for most people, it would take an incredible amount of pressure to get them to run through the street naked. For a lot of people, it would take actual threat of physical force to get them to do that. Okay. Even for somebody that you love, very few people would be willing to go into a public place and go to the washroom, so to speak, to strip down completely naked and go to the washroom. Okay. A guy would be more willing to go off to war than they would to be able to absorb that kind of shame. So society is a lot of it's based on shame. There's so many things you can't do. Even for a lot of guys, just going out and talking to a girl, approaching her and getting her phone number, the shame is too great. Most guys will go through their whole lives looking at a lot of beautiful women without ever having to talk to them because of shame. Okay. And so shame keeps a lot of people together, and keeps checks over people's behavior, even down to losing your temper, saying negative things because that's going to make you feel ashamed because, quote, society and other people's expectations, you're now the social violator, you're ashamed. So shame is one of those things that affects almost every minute of your daily life. We all have a certain amount of shame, which stops us from doing things. Not to say that that's a bad thing, okay? You don't want to go to, in the middle of public and do a bodily function. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, understanding the motivation. Number three is money, okay? And these are all in order, by the way. I know it sounds negative, but this is how it actually works. Money is a massive motivator. An example would be people work jobs that they hate for 20 years because they need money, okay? And money keeps people together, all right? Obviously you can't use force to impose your will over someone. And shame is a pretty negative and toxic way. But outside of that, the best way to keep people together is money. You pay someone enough, they're going to cook for you, clean for you, do work for your business, and in many relationships, not in friendship relationships, that relationship is dependent on money. If you don't have money, you're not going to get a wife or a girlfriend because you're living on the street. If you're at home and you have no money, it's going to be very hard to. You can't even take a girl out for dinner. Okay. So any type of long-term relationship is predicated on money. Not to say that women are with you for your money solely, but they wouldn't be with you if you didn't have it, outside of maybe temporary situations. Or in rare cases, they might stay with you, but it would put a massive strain on the relationship if you had literally zero income, and zero potential income. So you'll see this a lot in business or in jobs or something. If you're having a hard time hiring people or finding the right people, you just need to throw more money at it and people will stay. Even sort of, when you're living this expat entrepreneur life, most guys that come into city don't stay long term unless you guys are making money together. Because then there's that extra impetus for you to travel together because you're dependent on income, especially if it's a lot of income. Okay, and number four is love. Um, and I don't just mean like, love of your girlfriend, love of your wife, but this could be love of Christ. This could be love of a sandwich. It could be love of money, love of success, because happiness and love are the same emotion. I love a steak. Okay, the steak makes me happy, but I'm feeling the love when I'm tasting it. Oh, it's so good. I love this. I love women. I love making money. I love aiming to be successful and significant. I love God. Okay, but it's still the fourth motivator, because someone's putting a gun to my head, right? It's like I'm not worried about that steak. Okay, the gun to the head takes precedence. Okay, social shame. Removing all my clothes in public takes even if it's a $10,000 sales deal, and say some hypothetical would require me to walk around naked for 4 or 5 hours. I'd be pretty hard pressed to to go after that, even though it's the third most powerful motivator, money, that is.